Hey, I had a little audio trouble at the end of the clinic there, so I just wanted to walk you through a couple more things. What I was talking about is I was relaying out my stuff was that my layout isn't necessarily your layout. So just understand that the main thing is to come up with a system that is repeatable, that you can do on race day, and that has the right structure to it so that you can get through transition quickly. The other thing to keep in mind is, when you're in your own space, you've got a lot of space, but sometimes on race day, you end up having an even smaller space than you anticipated to set up your stuff. So just plan to be able to adapt to whatever the environment is. So your layout might look a little bit different on race day. And then I also wanted to talk about where you can use this workout outside of when it may be scheduled on your calendar, which will probably be on race week. But other ideas are to do it on a deload week instead of your midweek ride. So maybe you have a easy to moderate midweek ride that's 30 to 50 minutes, even maybe a little bit longer. Instead of doing that ride, you can throw in a transition workout. It could be used instead of a recovery ride, but make sure that you're keeping that intensity appropriate in zone one, because that's where you want to be for your recovery rides. So maybe you just do the bike and change into the T1 and T2 clothing, but you don't go out for the run. On a week where you have a long ride, where your long ride isn't very long, maybe it's only an hour to an hour and a half. You could start the workout with this transition workout and then continue with either your neighborhood ride or your trainer ride. Sometimes we're short on time and our plan says you need to do a 2 hour and 30-minute ride and you just don't, and you just don't have the time. Instead, add some skills. So you could repeat this 10 to 15 times if you wanted to. And that would end up being about a 2 hour workout. So that's another way to take a workout that was meant to be longer and now it's shorter, but a little bit more intense, right? And you're working on those race skills. So this wouldn't be so valuable to you, 3 months before a race. But as you get closer to the races, as you're like 8 weeks, 6 weeks out, somewhere in that range, thinking about what gear you're going to be wearing should already be in your mind. You should know what kit you're going to be wearing. You should know if you're making any adjustments on the bike, obviously you want to make that well before 2 weeks before a race. So you don't want to be doing something like adding aero bars immediately before a race. And you certainly wouldn't want to change a saddle right before a race. So just make sure that as we're approaching your actual races, that you are keeping in mind what you're going to need for race day. All right. Then we had some questions and suggestions that came up at the end. And I'm not remembering all of them. There are a couple of key ones that came up, which is, what do you do when it's cold? Like you get out of your swim and now the air temperature is not as warm as you were anticipating for this particular race. Maybe you've thought about bringing an extra layer. Great. Maybe something that is actually disposable. You can't throw it on the bike course, but at the aid stations, you could take that off and throw it away. But other things that can help with the body temperature is having a warm bottle of water at T1. So you can rinse off your hands and your feet and get them a little bit warmer before you have to need the dexterity, so that you have the dexterity to do the things that you need to do in transition. Um, Also those disposable hand warmers that we, used to use when we would go skiing. I don't ski anymore, but I remember them. Those work really well to just put down for women down into your bra. For men, if you can figure out a way to secure that inside your jersey, but keeping your chest warm is really helpful by using those disposable things. And then some people, another suggestion was that some people opt to wear a jersey for the bike course. Maybe it's a half or a full, and you just need more space for nutrition because we usually don't get very big pockets in our kits, our tri-specific kits. Or maybe you just want to be dry for the bike. So you would approach that as Men, you're gonna go into the swim, you're just gonna have your shorts on, you're not gonna have a top on, you get out of the water. And in transition, you're gonna have your jersey. For women, obviously, you can wear whatever bra you were planning on wearing for the swim. And then when you come out of the water, you're gonna have your jersey. So what you want to do with the jersey is you want to put all the nutrition that you're planning on using on race day into those pockets and then hang it onto your bike so it is ready to go. That's one less thing that you got to mess around with when you get out of the water. Then there's this Ironman specific issue that some of us will run into, which is that we can't lay our gear out before the race. Instead, they provide us with these plastic bags that have a cinched top and they're quite big. They're big enough to hold all your gear. Sometimes you have a T1 one, and then sometimes you have also a T2 bag. So you have to organize all that stuff, obviously, well before the race day, at least the day before the race, so that it's all gathered in the bag and you drop it off prior to the race. So then you get out of the water and you're soaking wet, you're disoriented, you have to go grab this bag. Sometimes there's an area to sit down to organize your stuff and rest a little bit, which if you can not do that, that's best. If you can just try to keep moving, that's better. But now you've got this bag with all your stuff in it. And so one suggestion was, instead of opening the bag and grabbing things, just open the bag and dump it on the ground. Now you can see everything. So you're still going to go through this in a systematic manner, which I'll get to in a minute. One of the problems with maybe dumping out your stuff is you've got your nutrition in there and now it's scattered all over the place. So using small Ziploc bags to organize the smaller items so that they're all together. Now you've got your mini bag with all your nutrition in it. Okay, so even so, you need to have a plan. That plan would look like wetsuit off. This is you standing in front of your bike. You've got your bag in your hand. You're gonna put the bag down on the ground. You're gonna take the wetsuit off. You're gonna place the wetsuit behind the rear wheel. Then you're gonna open up that bag. You're gonna dump it out. You've got maybe a towel in there, wipe the face, wipe the feet. Next, nutrition in pockets. Apply sunscreen. If you're doing a long course, you're probably gonna want sunscreen. You can always get it on course as well. But if you are really sensitive to the sun, you absolutely want to do that in transition. Helmet, socks, shoes, glasses, and go. So that's those were some suggestions that came up and other topics having to do specifically with, there were a lot of discussion about what are some things we can do specifically for long course that might be a little bit different than our local races. So if you have any questions about those things, please reach out to Ian and I, get on the Monday team calls. We always are welcoming questions as to how to address anything. So come join us on Mondays. Thanks.